A wiser feller than myself once said, sometimes you eat the turd sandwich, sometimes the turd sandwich, well, it eats you.
There we go.
Brandon peed all over the back of his toilet.
I peed all over the back of my toilet, but hey, it was worth it. I was telling Teo a second ago, it was one of those pees where you hold in a pee. It's just one of those pees when you don't want to get up and go to the toilet, so you think about pissing on yourself. So you want to justify pissing on yourself. But yeah, I was telling Teo, it was like one of those pees where like I held it for so long, and then like you go and pee, and it's one of the best relief feelings you've ever felt. Like guys and girls probably feel this as well. I can't voice for them.
From my understanding, it's harder for women to hold their pee for a long time than it is.
Yeah.
We got extra muscles.
Yeah.
Help us hold it in.
Yeah, for us, it's like it sucks to hold your pee. Like this wasn't a painful hold. People know, guys, fellas, you know about the painful holds.
Yeah.
But this was one of those
releases.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is one of those where it held it for a good while, but then
for no reason.
This one was just like great relief. And then usually those ones that are a great relief, it's like 2 to 3 minute pee, basically, just nonstop stream. But yeah, I peed all over the back of my toilet. I'll clean it up later. It was worth it. It was worth the relief.
One of my favorite kinds of pees to have is a nice frothy dad pee.
A frothy dad? Do you mean like a cloudy pee?
Yeah, like you pee and your stream feels wider than usual, and it's making more noise than usual. It's bubbling up, like it's sudsing up more than usual, and you're like,
oh, okay, yeah.
That's a satisfying pee to have.
Yeah.
It's a dad pee. Nice frothy dad pee.
Yeah, nice dad pee. But
because if you ever listen to your dad pee, it sounds like every dad pees like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like you hear like slight, not bubbling, but like the
you can tell that your dad's pee is frothier than yours.
Yeah.
And once I'm a dad, that's just going to be every pee.
Yeah.
For now, it only comes every once in a while. And I cherish those moments. Like God has blessed me with a dad pee today. This is going to be a good day.
I got a dad pee. Yes.
I got a dad pee today.
Yeah. But I briefly there can be some other topics, but I briefly wanted to go over some things I've seen recently, movies and TV wise. I'm not just going to say like, hey, I saw a homeless guy at the gas station. That's not what I mean by things I've seen recently.
No. We take it as a given that happened.
Yeah. I always see a homeless guy at the gas station. But yeah, some things I saw recently that I really liked. That, and this has no reflection on Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine is not included in the statement I'm about to say.
I think I lost you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, I lost you for a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I'll do the Verizon thing. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Perfect.
He didn't say all right. He said good.
He said good. I didn't even remember him saying anything yet.
Yeah, he was like, "Can you hear me now?" Good, and then you move on. You
Okay.
failure.
I didn't even know he like had an extra statement to that.
Yeah.
I thought it was just so this whole time it was like a Dora the Explorer episode.
Yeah.
Where he's talking to you, he says, "Can you hear me now?" He gives a little pause for you to answer at your TV, and then he says, "Good." I had no idea. So yeah, he's like, "Can you hear me now?" It's like, "No." Good.
I know.
Thanks a lot, you jackass.
It's like watching
Verizon guy's a jerk.
It's like watching Dora the Explorer, and you're like, "Where's the island with the treasure?" And it's like left, and she's like, "Where?" You're like, "Left, you Chinese bitch." Sorry, that's a real old Game Grumps joke.
But yeah, so I was starting to talk about movies that I've seen recently that I think are good, especially when you hold them up to modern movies that have been coming out recently. And that's not all modern movies. There have been some good ones: Doom 2, Civil War, Deadpool, Wolverine, and there's a bunch of others. But the average movie this year has not been great. Want to recommend this to everyone, especially Teo. I think you will like this a lot. Okay. It's a movie called Thelma.
Thelma,
and it's I'll describe the plot, and then I'll describe like the tone. So the plot is essentially this old woman who's like 80, 85 years old, maybe. And she basically gets like a call, like a somewhat AI sounding call, but it sounds like her grandson. She gets this call, and the person's like, "Grandma, like, help me, like I'm in jail. You gotta help me clear my name or whatever."
Oh my God, that's a real scam that they do.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like you gotta send $10,000 to this place or whatever. And then like then there's another person that gets on the line. He's like, "Yeah, the only way he's gonna get out is you guys send this $10,000 or whatever." And you just hear in the background the quote unquote grandson like, "Help me, Grandma." He's like, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." And so she mails off $10,000 cash, to this place, and basically she finds out it's a scam.
Yeah.
It's not her grandson, and the rest of the movie is quote unquote a revenge movie of her trying to track down the scammer as a 80 to 85-year-old grandmother who isn't like, it's not like she's like super fit and can be mobile and stuff. No, it's like, this is what an 80 to 85-year-old is. It's fun, and it's very funny because it's essentially old person action movie, but feels like old person. Like there's nothing like crazy over the top sort of thing. Like there's
it's not like a revenge dad movie like Nobody or Taken.
It's not that. If someone's going in expecting this to be Nobody or John Wick or something, you're going to be disappointed. It's not that movie. It is like kind of a revenge movie, but it's very much like through the lens of old people trying to do this, and it being kind of slow and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, because anyone I don't know how often this topic actually comes up between us, but I'm a fan of scam baiting. I don't do it myself because I just don't have the time for it or resources, but scam baiting is when someone, a very smart person, basically follows up on scam calls or scam emails and wastes scammers' times. Like Kit Boga is, I think, probably the biggest one right now, or one of the bigger ones. I love watching like his like YouTube edited videos of his streams that he does, because it's just so fun to listen to. Like, I'll just put him on in the background when I'm doing school or something, and it's just so fun to listen to how mad he makes those scammers. But yeah, so like this movie sounds like exactly up my alley, because I like scammers getting a comeuppance is for some reason one of my like favorite sort of like things.
And in like this isn't a spoiler, you're kind of expecting it with this movie. In the end, like, it is satisfying in that realm of the comeuppance being given, but like it's such a like funny movie because I mean you have like the high speed chase, quote unquote high speed chase in this movie is her on an electric scooter and another old man on an electric scooter trying to chase her down. But it isn't edited like super crazily where like it's all these jump cuts that make it feel super fast. It is ultimately just real time. Like there are edits, but it just feels like real time where they're going like 10-15 miles per hour.
That is so incredible. That sounds like the best thing in the world.
There's so much stuff like that in this where it's like the best way to describe it is all these action movie things that you've seen before, but what if we made it like and this isn't saying in a mean way, what if we made it like a dull old person version of it? And it's very funny to see and it's very engaging. There's I'm trying to remember. They even, this isn't a big spoiler. Is towards the end, all your action movies, you have the big explosion as they're walking away sort of thing. I loved this version of that. like they throw away this guy's oxygen tank or I think it was just in the dumpster. They didn't even know. and they like they throw away like some sort of lit thing like and it wasn't even like trying to be cool. I think they were just trying to throw it in the trash because like, oh, like that's burning, you can't have that there. Just trying to throw it in the trash. And as they're walking away, her and the guy that helps her with this, they're walking away and like a mini like it's not a giant explosion, but like a mini explosion happens behind them from the trash can. And it is loud, but they're both like walking and they're like, did you say something? It's like, what? They couldn't hear it at all.
So where did you see this? Was this in the theater or was it streaming?
It was in theater. It wasn't for long. I wish I had seen it in theater. Let me see if it's streaming right now. I wound up renting it.
Okay.
And it's a little pricey rent wise, but I mean like it's $9.99
okay
to rent it. But if you made this like a family movie night or something, it's completely worth it.
Oh yeah, like I definitely want to like watch this with my parents now that you described it in full, because I think they'd get a kick out of this too.
I rented it and I saw it with my family and they all loved it. Me and my sister loved it the most, but my parents liked it as well.
So did you like rent it through like a Prime account or like how'd you rent?
I think it was either YouTube or Prime.
Okay.
It was one of those.
Let
me switch my earphone real quick. It's acting weird.
Oh.
Okay, there we go.
Starts licking the inside of your ear.
But I'm trying to think of like I don't even really want to like give away any more of this stuff, but there's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just very funny.
Yeah, I'll figure out how to watch it then.
Yeah. Like it's I think it's available for rent through Amazon Prime, I'm almost certain. I rented it through YouTube, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
It was a great time. I loved it. Very different. It follows a lot of like the action or revenge beats, but also teeters differently some because yes, you have that, but ultimately it is kind of an old lady coming to grips that she kind of needs help from others.
Oh yeah.
And I think they do that very well.
Yeah. It's kind of the classic elderly dilemma.
Yeah, exactly. They do that very well. So it's a funny movie, but also touches on getting older very well, I feel like.
All right. So before you get into your next one, I want to say real quick, because it's possible that this might be a different episode than before. I want to just for anyone who might be looking at this screen, and didn't listen to the previous episode, my caption is not a cry for help. Just in case this is a different episode and not everybody's on board with it. This is a quote from I Think You Should Leave. Yes, it does kind of reflect the week I've had, but it's not sincere.
Yeah. It's a quote from a very funny show.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, continue.
Yeah, you're good. The next thing I wanted to mention was something that I had talked about over a month and a half ago, of anticipation of this coming / happening. That short film Coven, that the guy from the documentary I talked about, American Movie.
Yeah.
It's a guy in Wisconsin trying to make a short film.
Yeah.
And in the documentary, he's making this short film called Coven.
Yeah.
I wound up getting the VHS copy from Mark. He left me a nice letter in it. I kept the letter. As weird as that sounds, I kept it. I put it in the VHS because the way he wrote the letter, it seems like, oh yeah, just throw it away sort of thing. I was like, no, I like this guy. Like,
yeah, that's nice.
I put it in the clamshell to
keep it. I wouldn't throw away that letter.
No, yeah, I put it in the clamshell. It was nice. As well as like, I still have like email correspondent with him. It sounds weird I'm saying all this. He's not like a big guy, but like popularity wise. But
yeah,
I don't know. After seeing American Movie, I admire the guy a lot.
Yeah, he's a personal hero of yours. You are starting a cult in his name.
Yes.
You're gathering followers. You're standing on his front lawn every night with a torch.
Everything up until that last part you had mentioned fits in perfectly with his short film Coven.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's literally that's kind of the plot of the movie or the short film. It's less than 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
I wound up not watching it on VHS. I think I'd mentioned to Teo like how I originally wanted to watch it was in like a VHS player. And it kind of developed where I was like, I also want to get a CRTV to watch it on as well. After, like, I had no idea that this was a thing till a couple weeks ago. But that stuff is rare now. As crazy as it sounds, a VHS player is rare now. A working one is rare, to where on eBay, you're paying $30 or more to get one, plus shipping. At a thrift store, you might be able to find a VHS player. I went to several thrift stores and found one VHS player. CRTVs, you pretty much can't find them at thrift stores anymore, which is wild. Because I remember 5 to 7 years ago, that's all the TVs you would see is CRTVs. And they were like $5 a piece because they were just trying to get rid of them. So yeah, it's one of those things where all of this is rare. CRTVs are now $40 plus, and I didn't want to pay all that money. As well as VHS players, half of them eat your tapes, like basically destroy the tape. And I didn't want to risk that since I paid with shipping and everything $42 for this tape.
Yeah, it's definitely like a collectible.
Yeah. So that's how I treated it. Is like, this is a collectible, have on the shelf or with my DVDs sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the plus side is before it arrived, like a week or two before it arrived, I found the short film on YouTube. Like, you can just watch Coven on YouTube.
All right.
I am ultimately glad I did buy the VHS. I would have probably bought it anyway. But I saw it on YouTube, watched the short on YouTube, and I'll say it's good. It's good. I highly recommend watching American Movie before watching this short film, though.
Yeah.
Just so you get a feel of who Mark is, as well as you see parts of him making the short film, because that's the whole documentary, is making the short film.
Yeah, so it's the sort of film that benefits from outside context.
yeah, you'll get a greater appreciation of the movie, as well as like the story in the movie. Like, I don't know if Mark has done interviews and talked about this much, but like a lot of it feels like it's pulling from his life some. Because in the documentary, he talks about like drinking a lot and alcohol abuse and stuff like that that he has done in his partying days and stuff. And then in this short film, like the main plot is this alcoholic who goes to an AA group at this church or somewhere. Um, and that's a big part of it, is like him getting integrated into this AA group that meets, but it's also like possibly a sinister group.
Oh,
Like it's they might be some sort of coven or coven. But it's interesting, and
or dare I say, a cult?
yeah, exactly. But I also, the story I like because it teeters on, is this real or is this not? Is this in the
But
main
which is it?
character's head or not? Whether they are like an actual cult or not.
I see what you're saying. I thought I thought you meant that like the movie itself feels eerily real, like kind of like a Blair Witch sort of thing. But you're
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I misunderstood what you meant.
No, yeah, there's a ton of inspiration in that. Like Mark is the real person who made the film, has dealt with alcohol abuse and stuff, and
Yeah,
clearly I think this plays into the movie some, with this being the main topic of the movie. But no, more than the sense of like regarding what is real and what is not, is this character is kind of paranoid, maybe a little bit schizophrenic, as well as he does alcohol abuse, but also other drug abuse and stuff, to where it's hard to tell if this is an actual cult or if this is all just his paranoid thinkings, imagination sort of thing.
Yeah.
As well as like, I'll give him this. Dude is great at cinematography. There are some like really great shots in this short film. Like, it's black and white, where it looks great. Like, that was the one thing, you watch American movie and you know nothing about Coven. You watch American movie and you're like, oh, like he messes up sometimes in making this, and you're like, oh, like what is this actually going to look like when it comes out? You're thinking it's going to be like a pity family applause at the end, where it's like, oh, good job, like you did it. You're thinking it's going to be one of those type of things. But then at the end of American movie, you see like a minute worth of like mini clips from the short film, and you see these shots and stuff, and you're like, oh dang, like Mark can actually like make stuff. Like, he's actually good at this. Like, it's not just, hey, look at this guy trying to make something. So yeah, overall, I liked Coven. I'll have to watch it with my sister soon, because she's seen American movie and she really liked it.
Okay.
But
yeah, so I think with that, you have officially edged back out in front of me for indie movie viewing cred. Since the last time I viewed something that obscure was We Are Sasquatch by Joel Haver.
Oh yeah.
Which I need to catch up on the movies that he released earlier this year on his channel.
Oh yeah.
Because he was trying to do this thing where he was planning on making and releasing one movie every month this year, which was a crazy ambitious thing that unfortunately he wasn't able to fulfill. But to be honest, dude's been busy, and it was a super ambitious thing to try and do anyway. I don't blame him at all for not being able
that's really
that
ambitious.
Like,
every month.
He worked on at least one episode of Smiling Friends this year, and so like he's been busy.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I haven't even watched all of season 1 of Smiling Friends, but season 2 I've seen a couple episodes because I saw that Joel was a part of that one episode, so I watched the episode. I also watched the episode, the Alien
Professor
one.
Psychotic.
Yeah. I watched the Alien one where it's like the alien party.
Yeah, oh my god, I love that
I
episode.
watched that one because the aliens are played by the guys from Red Letter Media. And I really like Red Letter Media.
That's,
so
that's not the first time they've gotten those guys on.
No, the first time was, and it's still, I haven't seen all the episodes.
Pilot,
it's still
right?
one of the funniest characters. It's the first episode. It's Clarence, the guy who wants to kill himself.
Desmond.
Or Desmond, that's what it is. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It's so funny, especially because like if you've watched Red Letter Media a lot, Mike, who voices him, plays that character sometimes of like, I'm depressed. Like, this movie stinks. Like
he basically Desmond in that episode basically goes over, I was going to reference it earlier, but I thought like I can't remember the full quote. But he basically goes over that thing that you mentioned earlier of how like our lives are just kind of moving from little points of joy, trying to find distractions from how miserable everything else is. I was like, oh, that sounds like Desmond from Smiling Friends.
Yeah, like this sounds like dark, but it's just like the inside humor that me and my sister have here and there. Sometimes we'll quote like like if something happens and like someone tries to cheer us up or whatever, we're just like, all right, I'm gonna kill myself now.
All right, we just need you to come down to the office and sign some paperwork, and then you can do what you got to do. What about that? What? That ant? Yeah. I don't know. It's okay, I guess. Oh yeah, season 2 was just as good as season 1. It was great. There's an episode that's about Alan, specifically, like just him going on an adventure. That is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, me and my sister are gonna have to get back into it. We both really wanted to watch those episodes. She wanted to watch the Joel one because she knows about Joel Haver and stuff. She doesn't really care about Red Letter Media, but we wound up watching those.
But yeah, I love the alien one. Pim, what am I looking at right now? Is that Earth? Dude, that's Earth. The Earth is flat, man. We can't tell anybody about this, man. This changes everything. We can't. And I see the dome. The dome's right there. That's such an incredible scene. Like it's fascinating to me how they can mix this like existential dread of the absurd into like such a humorous context, or like the context isn't humorous. Somehow, everything coming together is what makes it funny. Because weirdly enough, almost nothing that the show presents is funny by itself. It's all of the elements together that make it funny. It's so interesting. Like Smiling Friends is so like ripe for dissection. And the thing is, like Hadel and Cusack themselves, you can tell, aren't thinking that deeply about it. They're just trying to make something fun.
Yeah. I definitely got that with the Joel episode. Like that one was really funny. Whenever he bust into the door, it's just like, shut up, be quiet.
So I got Vanessa over, trying to watch a movie. You're being incredibly loud. Just that pitch perfect Joel Haver delivery. And then the thing is, as someone who watches a lot of like Let's Plays and stuff on YouTube, there's also a lot of like, I can always tell when a joke is one of Zach's. Because like the whole making a homunculus out of an egg thing and smashing the worm that comes out with a Bible. That's something that he references and talks about on Oni Plays more than once.
Okay.
About like apparently there was a Russian guy who tried to make a homunculus, and there's like apparently video evidence of something living coming out, and he smashes it with a Russian Bible. It's like you can tell that Professor Psychotic was Zach's idea.
Yeah.
At least in terms of what he's doing.
Right.
Because obviously, Michael Cusack is the one doing the character's voice.
Right.
Since most of the cast is just Zach and Michael anyway.
That's another recommendation, people. Smiling Friends. Teo had mentioned Smiling Friends before. I have only seen a few episodes of both seasons, but what I've seen, it's a fun time. Like, throw on an 11-minute episode every once in a while. It's a good time.
Yeah, because every episode's 11 minutes, like 10 to 11 minutes without exception. So like it's a brisk. You can watch the entire thing in a couple hours.
Yeah. You can throw on an episode here and there, like you throw on a YouTube video sort of thing.
Yeah, there are I want to say 17 total episodes. That's 170 minutes roughly. So yeah, that's 2 hours 50.
Yeah.
It's a good quick, like whether you want to just throw on something enjoyable for 11 minutes or you want to binge something ridiculous for almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's good for both.
Yeah.
And you know that every 10 minutes you're being presented with something new.
Yeah.
The Salties episode is one of my favorites. From season 1. Oh, it's so good. They it's Charlie and Pim go to a fast food restaurant and things happen there. It's great.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
If you don't know anything about the episode, I don't want to spoil what happens.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I'll me and my sister probably by the end of the year will have watched all of it. Yeah, we haven't watched it in a couple weeks, but we'll probably get back to it.
Yeah, for any listeners out there who are interested in Smiling Friends but don't know a whole lot about it, like this, I recommend not spoiling yourself on it. Not because it's like a plot heavy show, because it absolutely isn't. There's no ongoing plot or anything.
It's just like the fun joke of the episodes, basically.
Yeah, like it's best to let this show take you by surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of recommendations and stuff, that pretty much is the extent of mine of stuff that people can watch now. Thelma, definitely. That's at the top of the list for me. Yeah. Coven, I'm going to say Coven. Mark demands it to be called Coven.
Okay.
So
also
Coven
and all that.
Yes. Coven recommend, but I highly recommend watching an American movie before it. And then Smiling Friends. And then a minor thing, I can't really recommend it now. I guess this is a recommendation for like 3 years from now, probably.
Okay.
Lawrence of Arabia in theater. Seeing it in theater.
Like a remake?
No. Not a remake. They re-released it a week and a half ago for just like 2 days.
Okay.
And me and some of my friends went to go see it, and dude, like, definitely top 50 movies for sure for me. It might be higher on the list.
Isn't it super long?
It is. It's 4 hours long.
Oh my God.
It is the longest movie I've ever seen in the movie theater.
Yeah.
But was completely worth it. It was like that's also why I say you need to see it in the theater, because it's definitely
then you can't walk away from it.
Well, I will say this: they have an intermission, and that was built into the movie back then as well.
Oh,
so it's not like a new thing.
Kind of like Hello Dolly. Hello Dolly.
Yeah. Like a lot of the movies in the 50s and 60s had intermissions to them.
Yeah.
But no, it was like such a great theater experience. Like, one, seeing it on a big screen, especially this movie, because this movie is like a grand epic. I mean, it's 4 hours long. It better be epic.
The kind of grand epic they don't make anymore.
No, yeah. Like this, like I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and like just following this character, T. Lawrence, who was an actual guy, who kind of like he was a revolutionary, he was a hero, but also he in his own writings didn't like a lot of the stuff that he did, because he saw a lot of it as like very bad / like the British government just came in and reshaped the Arabic landscape sort of thing, reshaped how countries formed and stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our global map, as well as like how we see that part of the world nowadays, is because of the actions of T.E. Lawrence and the British government in the early 1900s.
So like, was he one of the guys like responsible for the Indian partition?
No. I trying to think if they bring that up any in the movie. He wasn't. He was more instrumental in like a revolution amongst I'm forgetting the specific places at the moment, but it wasn't really an India conflict.
Okay.
Or anything dealing with India sort of thing.
All right. A little further west.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, like it's just it's interesting to see, because it's like, for the most part, actual history. Like obviously you change some things up here and there, dramatize some stuff, but like compared to our modern movies, they did not change up as much as our modern day movies go. A lot of this stuff actually did happen in this movie. But it was like it almost leaves you speechless with some of it. Like there are just some beautiful shots, because most of it takes place in the desert, and it's 1961, 1962 is when this came out, and you clearly see how this movie has influenced a lot of some of the biggest movies since then. Definitely plays a big influence in Star Wars.
Okay.
Like especially with anything dealing with Tatooine, how things are shot, the beautiful shots of Tatooine and stuff. Clearly George Lucas had inspiration from Lawrence of Arabia. Dune, not just the movies, the books themselves have inspiration from Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
Because there is like, it's not entirely, but there is a lot of somewhat similarities between Lawrence and Paul from Dune. Timothée Chalamet. Yeah, you see a lot of similarities between the two characters of this character that doesn't want to become this big figure or this thing, but almost is forced into it / has to, sort of thing. It was such a good experience, as well as like experiencing an intermission modern day when we don't experience that at all. That was also interesting. Part 1 of this is 2.5 hours long. Then the intermission happens, and the intermission happens like not long after this big epic battle essentially happens in Lawrence of Arabia. And so once the intermission happened, you get like 15 minutes to go to the bathroom, all that sort of stuff. And like me and my friends, we went to go pee. But after that, we were just sitting in our seats, just like talking about everything that just happened in the movie. And I also thought that was interesting. Implementing intermissions in modern day movies, if they were long enough to warrant an intermission, because you then have people kind of discussing the movie
in the lobby
midway through. In the lobby. And so you have that going on, and it's like, okay, let's go back to where, like, I think it also helps because there's some movies that if it was a full 3 hours long or whatever, there are some moments where it drags. If you had an intermission midway through, it gets you out of the seat, gets you to stretch your legs, gets you reinvigorated, because now you're rested from looking away from a screen, and you're also interacting and talking with other people about what you just watched before the second part happens, and now you're ready to go back into the second part, more reinvigorated, sort of thing.
In the town that I grew up in, we had a single screen movie theater And
Oh wow,
they cut intermissions into every movie, regardless of length.
interesting.
So at the halfway point of every single movie, there was always an intermission. So like moving down here to Pensacola and having more experience with these giant theater chains, and like getting used to the normal theater experience for the past 14 years. I had to, at first I had to get used to sitting through the whole movie in one go.
Yeah.
Which, even back in 2013, seeing Man of Steel in the theater for the first time, I had to pee like crazy by the end of that movie because I hadn't figured out the system yet.
Oh yeah.
So like
Yeah,
since 2011, I've had to learn what the actual theater experience is, because in my hometown we had something slightly different.
yeah. And I wouldn't say implement it to every movie, but if it was something implemented, I think it'd be cool. If it could somehow be implemented to, it doesn't really need to be less than 2.5 hours to implement intermission.
No,
If it's
I agree with you that it is something that can come back, but it should be reserved for longer movies.
Yeah. It needs to be no shorter than 2.5 hours, but if it's like 3 hours or more, I think an intermission would be great.
Unfortunately, they'll never do that. You want to know why?
There's no 3-hour movies that come out anymore.
There's not just that.
Well,
it cuts down on the number of showtimes they can have per day.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, that's also a downside, because that plays into Lawrence of Arabia of like in the weekend, which wasn't even a weekend. It was Sunday and Monday is when it was playing, and most AMCs across the country. There were only 3 showtimes because it's also lengthy. There was a 1 p.m. and a 7 p.m. on Sunday. And then on Monday, there was just a 7 p.m. So you basically had 3 chances to watch it. That was
Who
about
wants to
all.
start a 4-hour movie at 7 p.m.?
That was insane, because I remember when me and my friends were talking about seeing it, and one brought up, oh, like what time should we see it, 1 or 7? I immediately said 1. I was like, this, sure. I'm sure it'll be good, because I'd never seen it before, didn't know the quality. I was like, I'm sure it'll be good. But man, like, one, we're seeing it in Destin. So we're going to see it. And with intermission and everything, like, it'll get out 11:30 sort of thing.
Yeah.
I got to drive home, which is an hour away.
Oh.
And I'll probably be hungry. I might want to run by late night fast food thing or something. I'll be getting home at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, one of the only restaurant chains that's open 24 hours is also one of the slowest, even at their drive-through, which is Whataburger.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and the reason I saved it for the last part of this recommendation is I recommend seeing this movie, but I recommend seeing it in a movie theater, and unless you live in like a big place that shows classic movies all the time, unless you live in that, you're going to have to wait a little bit. The 65th anniversary of this movie comes up in 2027. Maybe they'll do something then. For now, I guess you could see it at home, but don't. If it's a first time seeing it, I highly recommend the theater experience.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. I think I might have one last recommendation. So I haven't. I've started a few shows and haven't finished any of them. I've had 2 episodes of The Batman left for like 3 weeks.
Nice.
I'll finish it this week, maybe even tonight. I don't know. But one show that I want to talk about, because I've been talking about a lot of cartoons lately. I started watching The Batman, which I'm almost finished with. I started watching Class of the Titans, which, for anyone out there, if you're gonna watch it on YouTube. Because
Teo for like a brief 24 hours was let down because it turned to Spanish.
Yeah, it switched to the Spanish dub on Prime, but it thinks it's in English, so there's no way to change it. Because Prime thinks that English is the only option for that show. So I was disappointed. I thought, great, now there's no way to watch this obscure Canadian show that I just found out existed last year. But no, I found out that on Nelvana's official YouTube channel, Retro Rerun, they have a ton of old Canadian cartoons posted, including like 16 and others.
Nice.
But Class of the Titans is on there, so if you're interested in that, go watch it. Brandon, do you remember, also real quick, like before I get into my real recommendation, do you remember the last convention we were at, the G&G Con in Mobile?
Yeah.
And I got a couple of DVDs from that cool anime guy whose name escapes me, unfortunately. That's another.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, we'll find out again eventually. We'll probably see him at other cons in the future, especially if he's like a regular in the Mobile area. But anyway, so that series is called. Hang on, let me go in my room and look at the cover because I know the main title, but it has a subtitle and I can't remember it. It's called Huntic Secrets and Seekers. It was on Netflix years ago, and I watched like the first episode of it and made fun of it the whole time because that's what I like doing when a show is just ridiculous. But that's another cartoon. I don't think it's American either. I think it might be from an Italian production company. But it's another one that's about teenagers dealing with Greek mythology. So like everybody was on that Percy Jackson grind in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Which I do think that, like, even though all these came out at roughly the same time, I do think Percy Jackson was the first one to hit like the shelves and popularize it.
Oh, okay.
Which makes sense. It's the American one. American stuff usually has a further reach.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also like it's a book series, and cartoons have a tendency not to spread as quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was funny that like I've got a ton of Greek mythology stuff. I just backed a Kickstarter for some D&D stuff based on Greek mythology.
Oh, nice.
So like all of a sudden, like, you know that like for the past few years I've been on a really heavy Norse mythology kick.
Yeah.
But this year I guess I'm getting back into Greek mythology. So anyway, completely separate to that, another show that is watchable on Prime. Have you ever heard of Camp?
Camp. Let's see.
That might ring a bell to you.
Title doesn't come to mind, but let me see if any of the images. No, but it looks like it was some sort of Rooster Teeth thing.
Yes, it was a Rooster Teeth show. So
Okay.
I found out that it is available on Prime. It's edited together into 20-minute episodes, usually with 2 segments per episode.
Okay.
And it is censored, which disappointed me at first because you can tell that the beeps aren't a part of the original audio mix. So the entire show cuts out when they bleep instead of just the character's voice.
That's odd.
Yeah, but there is one specific joke in the show that makes that worth it. Because there is one episode in season 1 where the bully character goes on like a long string of expletives and he's bleeped out. Which, if you're watching the original version, that would seem out of place until you realize that it's a joke where like a kid is holding down one of the keys on a keyboard to make a long beep noise over Nerf, the bully character.
Okay.
And again, that joke doesn't really register at first if you're watching the original version. So when you're watching the censored version, that joke actually holds a lot more power, in my opinion.
And because I haven't seen the show, but would that joke also like make you slightly rethink the show where it's like, oh, anytime it bleeps, it's this character bleeping them?
Kind of. It does kind of like make you think about the bleeps in a different way where it's like, okay, now you can just kind of imagine that there's someone just off screen censoring everybody.
Yeah, it might not be the actual case, but it's a fun thing to possibly consider in watching, sort of thing.
Yeah, but I decided to give it a watch because I was like, you know what? I'm somehow old enough to be nostalgic for Camp, which, good God, that makes me feel really old. So I put it on, thinking like, okay, because I like in my memory, Camp was worse for some reason. Like I remember it being like needlessly mean and like 3 edgy 5U, that sort of thing. But rewatching it now, it's actually like it feels like it carries itself differently than I remember. It's still a generally mean-spirited show in terms of its overall sense of humor, but when you think about like the end that it's working towards in terms of that tone, it doesn't feel as like wrong when you know where they're going with it, because a big part of the show is the fact that one of the main characters is a little kid named Max who does not want to be at this camp. He firmly believes that he's only there because his parents don't want to have to deal with him for the summer and that they don't care about him. And then his foil is the head counselor, David, who is chipper and cheery and everything positive about the world, it all rolled into one person. So you have this like really sharp contrast between the two of them, where David is always trying to make Max feel better and make him feel like he belongs somewhere, and Max keeps resisting it and comes up with schemes to try and break David's spirit. So like I said, it given that dynamic, it can feel like a mean-spirited show, and needlessly so to start with, because a lot of the time joke or like episodes will end with jokes at David's expense, like his sincerity is something to be mocked and laughed at, but you get to the end of the first season and you get to this moment where it seems like Max is finally going to break him, and I don't mind spoiling this moment because this is a huge part of why I think this is how I sell the show to people.
I gotcha.
But there's this moment where you think that Max is finally going to break David. And, Max tells him, like, just give up. You should give up. Like, quit trying to make everyone happy. Quit trying to make everyone love this camp as much as you do, because we're all miserable here. And David says, you're probably right. I should give up, because no one's ever going to love this place as much as I do. No one's ever going to see the beauty in it. But that's no, like, for him, that's no reason to give up. He says, I'm never going to give up. I'm going to keep trying because, and I'm going to censor this line here because somebody effing has to. And David does not curse. Like, it is a key part of his character that he's one of the only ones who doesn't swear. So for him to punctuate that line with an F-bomb is a really meaningful character moment.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic scene because Max has just been a relentless little shit for the entire first season, and it really puts him in his place and recontextualizes his relationship with David. It's the first moment when Max realizes that some people can't be broken, and some people will never let go of their joy and their optimism just because somebody else is too miserable to see the beauty of the world. So and like looking at it like that, the entire show changes. It's so like I do recommend it. It's a good show. Not for children, even though it looks very much like a cartoon for children. That's intentionally misleading. Like they want it to look cutesy and kiddie because it's supposed to be like, oh, kids have fun at adventure camp, but then like, everybody's miserable. And
because when you first mentioned it, when I first looked it up. Like I didn't see the plus 16 or anything on Amazon Prime at that time.
Yeah.
I just saw the camp image. I was like, this looks, I mean, I didn't think anything wrong with it, but I was like, this looks like a kid show.
Yeah. Which
but
I've been known to watch frequently.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with it. I was just like, at first, that's what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, after seeing the 16 plus and what all you have mentioned, okay, seems interesting.
But yeah, it's a good little show. It's got a pretty decent lineup of voice actors, a lot of which are like Rooster Teeth regulars, and some of which are more heavy hitters that were kind of brought in from the outside. Like Travis Willingham and Yuri Lowenthal do regular voices in the series. And but like Miles Luna is the voice of David. For those who don't know, that's the guy who does the voice of Jean and Ruby.
James Willems is in this.
Yes, he's the voice of Dolph, the little German boy who is there for art camp.
Nice.
Yeah. So you can probably guess what his core joke is.
Yeah.
So it's Michael Jones is the voice of Max. So that does mean that, for those out there who find his voice mildly grating, you are going to hear him a lot in this show if you try to watch it. So just be forewarned. Because Michael Jones is a voice actor where if you like his voice, you like his voice. If you don't like his voice, you don't like his voice.
And for the people that like don't even really know Rooster Teeth stuff or anything like that, if you were on the internet at all in like the 2010 era, if you saw at least one rage quit video, and that's Michael.
That's Michael Jones. Yeah. So yeah, it's a fun show. It's a really good show, and it's weird to describe it this way given the fact that it leans on its more mature content, but it is a show about friendship and forming bonds in a weird way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a good show. I like it. I've been enjoying my rewatch of it. This is going to be my first time actually watching it through to the end ever.
Nice.
Because I think I fell off like after season 2, back when it was new. Because the thing is with like those old Rooster Teeth shows, for me, it was hard to keep track of their upload schedules.
Mm-hmm.
So like I never knew when a new season of something was starting or when new episodes were coming out. So I would just lose track of things.
Yeah.
Like a part of why I fell off of Ruby is because I just plain old lost track of when episodes were coming out.
Yeah. I never really got huge into the Rooster Teeth shows, but I had like a couple friends that were big into like Red versus Blue and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I love Red versus Blue. Red versus Blue is like, as far as the way I write comedy goes, is one of the most like influential pieces of media in my life.
Yeah. No, my thing with Rooster Teeth is like I knew of all these things, but the big thing that got me into Rooster Teeth was like the kind of the fun house channel sort of thing.
Yeah.
And even before that, like I remember watching Achievement Hunter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
God,
actively seeking this stuff out happened with Funhouse.
Yeah. Funhouse was such a unique beast of a channel when it started.
But yeah, now thinking about it, I'm sure it's still up. Tonight might just watch some old Funhouse videos.
Oh yeah, some old demo disc.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched any Funhouse stuff in like a few years. So
yeah, no, it's been a few years for me too. I don't even know who's like in the lineup anymore. Are James and Elise still there?
Well, I was going to say, is Funhouse still a thing?
Well, I you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't know because Warner Brothers shut Rooster Teeth down.
Yeah, that's the reason I ask, is because of that. Like maybe they went off and did their own thing, but I have no idea.
Yeah, it might have been like a College Humor situation where they ended up going independent. Because the thing with College Humor during the pandemic is like everybody got laid off. They all got fired. So
yeah.
like they scraped together everything they could and went independent.
Yeah, and I have no idea if Funhouse did that, and I'm not like saying anything with this. I don't know how big they are now, if they still are a thing.
Oh yeah.
Because the biggest it was when you had that core group there.
Yeah, it is. This is going to be an like a weird analogy, but it's sad to see the town you grew up in become a ghost town.
Dang. Man, they did this on purpose. It's good in terms of clicks and stuff. I just looked up the Funhouse YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The last 2 videos, the second to last one, it's "Are you ready for the final Funhouse gameplay?"
Oh.
And then the last one is "Leaving Ain't a Crime, a farewell love letter from Funhouse." And then the thumbnail is "Goodbye Funhouse." And that was 3 months ago. So yeah, it's
yeah,
done.
they're done. They're done.
Dang,
dude.
Well, that gives me even more reason to go back and reminisce on Funhouse.
Relive some old memories.
Yeah.
And you know what? You never know if this is going to be one of those things where they go and take down all the old videos. So
that's true. Yeah.
So you watch it while you can.
Watch it. Yeah, exactly. Watch it while I can. Instead of watching any TV shows or movies, I'll just binge demo disc for a week.
Yeah. Yeah. It really sucks to see like the way that Rooster Teeth fell with all like the controversies and the corporate shuffling, and like really once they got acquired by a larger company, that's when things really started changing, because then there was expectation on them from a larger entity.
Yeah, it really was, because it's so weird to think about, because I remember I never went, but let's say like 2014, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe like 2012, 2013 is when myself, as well as a lot of the mass average person, discovered or found out about conventions, comic conventions, nerd conventions, that sort of thing. I think they really started popping off around 2012.
Yeah.
In terms of people hearing about it and knowing about it. And RTX was like one of the big ones. Yeah. It's crazy to think about.
I always wanted to go to RTX, and I'm kind of sad that I never did.
Like I wanted to go, like, not as like a Rooster Teeth fan really, but more as like they had all this big stuff. Like it wasn't just, yes, the overall thing is Rooster Teeth, but they had all this other stuff. Convention. Yeah. It wasn't just like a Rooster Teeth convention. It was like you had game studios as well as all these other people that would come to this convention and stuff. To where, like I remember one or two of my friends went to like I think it was in Austin, Texas. They went to RTX like in 2014, 2015 or whatever. But it's weird to think, because in 2014, 2015, in terms of the United States, it was probably like in the top 5 biggest conventions of that time.
Yeah.
Like, because San Diego Comic-Con, I think, has always been the biggest. I'd say it, in terms of size, maybe rivaled New York Comic-Con. Maybe New York was a little bit bigger, but I mean, you had that, then you had like PAX East, and then you had RTX, basically, in terms of these big cons in the US. And it's just weird to see that, like, less than 10 years later, this giant company, because it was, I mean, it had its hand in everything, anime, video games, this, that, YouTube, all this stuff, had one of the biggest conventions, is now gone.
And like they had a lot of close like business relationships with other companies, even outside of like the Warner Brothers umbrella, like Funimation and Crunchyroll. And like, it's crazy to me that and like of course they were like basically in Bungie's back pocket since the beginning. So like it's Yeah, you're right. It is crazy that in like less than a 10-year span, all of a sudden it's gone.
Especially
Ruby belongs to Viz Media now. Ruby was like their biggest show for a while.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, especially when like it's so weird, and I'm sure there's video essays on it, or I've actually seen videos on it, but I'd love to see a documentary or something come of it,
Yeah.
of the downfall of Rooster Teeth, because how quickly it happened is weird. Because 2014, 2015, I'd even argue 2016 were the biggest. That was peak Rooster Teeth in terms of like how big it was.
Yeah.
Corporation wise, as well as making money, that sort of thing. Like the reach it had was like that 2014 to 2016 span. And then in less than 10 years, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like that crazy. Is wild to think about.
It is insane. They had a good run, man.
Yeah, yeah.
19 years. Right?
Yeah.
No, 21 years.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Sorry, I was misremembering my math and how it worked. Yeah, 21 years, because I think they just started messing around and making red versus blue videos in like 2003.
Yeah, yeah.
21 years, dude. Just
that's crazy.
And like obviously they left a legacy, but like it's just like the body itself is dead.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got the perfect title for a documentary about like the fall of Rooster Teeth. Fat Lip: How the Rooster Teeth Got Knocked Out.
Oh man. Yeah, and like I there's not a lot to say on this, but like yeah, corporate meddling that you saw with Warner Brothers later on and stuff definitely played an effect. And like I remember seeing this whenever they changed their logo like a few years ago or whatever. Like they had such a great logo. It reminds me a lot of Elon Musk and what he did with Twitter. It's like we recognize this logo, and we recognize this name, especially the logo. Then you're going to completely change it.
Yeah.
To this new X, this logo. And then Rooster Teeth, they kept the name Rooster Teeth, but everyone remembers the logo of literally the rooster white silhouette with the chattering teeth. We all remember that. And then they made some boring logo. It was like an
It's
R.
just the rooster, right?
It's like an R, but
I thought for a while it was just the rooster.
Well, at some point, hold on, let me see. Rooster Teeth.
But no, now that you mention it, you're right. It was just an R for a while.
It was an R that like slightly resembled a chicken. Like it had the fin part on top of a chicken. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That's all it is it's just an R with a little thing on top.
Man. The first real sign, I think, that the company was going in a bad direction. I actually remember where I was working when I read this for the first time. I was sitting down to poop on the toilet at Tom Thumb on the clock. And, because at least Tom Thumb was cool enough to let us poop on the clock.
Nice.
I've never not pooped on the clock. Like, I don't know, like... I don't think I want to work for a company that would make me poop off the clock.
Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah. So don't work for Amazon then.
Yeah, no. I don't have any intention to. Yeah. But the first real sign of the downfall that like really hit hard was the very sudden revelation that Joel Heyman had been fired for apparently no reason. Like they just got rid of him.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was one of the things that happened as a part of like the early acquisitions by other companies.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it took a while for Rooster Teeth to get to Warner Brothers' hands specifically. But yeah, it was one of the first like big corporate moves that was made. Is Joel Heyman just all of a sudden out? And apparently, like, he found out in a really uncool way. Like, they didn't contact him directly about it or anything.
Just like came into the office and found out, or was it like on the news?
I think he found out on social media.
That's really messed up.
Yeah. Which, that's how a lot of Rooster Teeth employees found out that they were being laid off or fired.
Yeah,
over
really
the years.
bad.
And you can tell that, like, for a lot, like, the founders who stuck around, like Jeff, that it like the direction the company was heading took like an emotional toll on them.
Yeah. Well, for anyone out there, if you watched Rooster Teeth or any of the stuff, any of their content back in the day or whatever, here's a post-mortem time to revisit it.
Yeah.
It's another recommendation I'll do. Me personally, I'm going to go back and revisit some Funhouse. If you have another one you want to revisit, Cow Chop. I like Cow Chop, even though they were with Rooster Teeth for like maybe a year.
I never did watch Cow Chop.
I liked it a lot. And then they get acquired by Rooster Teeth, and the content was good.
Yeah.
But with all the issues Rooster Teeth was having, they got cut and dissolved in like a year. So
yeah, and you know, that by itself is also another symptom of the problem, is that Rooster Teeth was growing faster than it could sustain.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They kept acquiring smaller channels and smaller content creators, and then not being able to support them.
Yeah.
Like Funhouse, I think, got by on raw grit and charisma.
Oh yeah.
Like, once they were a Rooster Teeth company, they set out to make a name for themselves. They were determined to be one of the big ones.
Oh yeah. But yeah, all the recommendations we said before, and go watch you some old Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, watch some old Funhouse. Watch Camp. It's, you know, still pretty good. I never did get into Nomad of Nowhere, but now that I think about it, it's probably next on my list. I'm going to see about trying to catch up to Ruby at some point, figure out what the hell's going on with that. And of course, I'm going to rewatch the first 13 seasons of Red versus Blue on an endless loop for the rest of my life.
Perfect.
Because season 13 ends in a it's so weird. Because season 13 ends in a way that is both soul-crushingly dissatisfying and yet thematically absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Like, the way that season 13 of Red versus Blue ends could not have been better for what the show was.
Yeah.
And the fact that it kept going after that, at first I was excited that, like, oh, you know, it's still going. But, like, you get to those later seasons and you're like, oh, it kept going. Because season 14 was fun because that was an anthology season with different animation styles.
Oh, okay.
So, like, season 14 is like, okay, this one's for fun, and it fills in some gaps of the universe.
Right.
And then the actual story picked up in season 15, but I don't even remember what happened in season 15. So, and then I never watched 16, and then apparently 0 was absolute dog barf.
Mm.
And they, like, after RVB 0, they just never went back. It was done. So yeah. So again, first 13 seasons of Red versus Blue, everybody. Really solid.
Nice.
All right. I think I'm done. I gotta poop.
Nice. I gotta eat.
So I'm gonna eat after I poop.
I might do it on the toilet.
I'm gonna.
I'll another South Park reference. I'll take my pants off, face the opposite direction of how we normally poop.
I know this one.
Have the little place to put my chocolate milk and my cookies, and I'll be good to go.
I don't like that one. That's the one where they put it up their butt and poop out their mouths, right?
No, that's a different one.
Okay.
No, this one dealt with like the who invented the toilet and trying to sue the ghost of that person.
Okay.
Whole thing. But
I'm gonna go get rid of lunch before I have dinner.
Nice. I have been Brandon.
And I have been Teo.
And now we're not. Take care.
Take care, everybody.